How's it going, everyone? We are looking at today's update of Skyline Valley, a map expansion, and much more. I will say the notes do seem to be a little bit light this time for us getting so many new things in this new area. Part of me feels like it's an opportunity for the devs to leave certain things out for us to discover, and it's a great point in Appalachia where both new players and old are discovering a brand new area together. Everybody's kind of on the same page in terms of exploring this area for the first time, so it's a great time to be jumping into Appalachia this week with other adventures. But let's get into the patch notes. I'll jump around, I'll highlight some of the important things, and then we'll be jumping into Appalachia ourselves as soon as possible. So right away it's saying, welcome to Skyline Valley, our first map expansion of the Appalachian region. Explore this new mysterious location, uncover the true location of Vault 63, and figure out the truth behind the Lost. For the highlights, we do have the map expansion, the questline, the public event, the regional boss, the Ghoul Type. Right away I'll mention this almost feels similar to Nuka World on Tour, where instead of a new expansion, they touched up a section of the map, gave us 3 events and the boss along with other things, but definitely a packed update. For the map expansion, it's saying venture south into Skyline Valley in the heart of Shenandoah National Park and solve the mysteries behind the ever-raging storm shadowing the region. The new questline, uncover the true location of Vault 63 to meet its residents while you discover the secrets of the storm and the Lost. The new public event, help the thrill-seeking storm chasers get the best picture of the storm by protecting them from the elements, the Lost, and the nearby electro-charged creatures. The new regional boss, face off against a new massive threat that only the combined power of the Wastelanders can overcome. And finally, they're highlighting the new Ghoul Type, meet the Lost. Those who dwell in Skyline Valley, electrically supercharged ghouls that have been driven mad. And it's up to us to find out why. So kind of jumping on ahead, we're looking at a preview of Skyline Valley, and I'm definitely eager to visit. I personally didn't keep too much up with the PTS. I didn't jump into it. I didn't watch other people checking out the PTS, so a lot of this is going to be fresh for me. Very excited to be exploring this with the community. And it's saying, welcome to Skyline Valley, our first map expansion of the Appalachian region. A mysterious location that is covered by a storm unlike any that have been seen before. There are new locations to discover, characters to meet, secrets to unveil, as well as more location to build your camps. That's going to be a fun one. Hopping around this section of the map looking for the optimal spots, and just based off of this preview alone, I could imagine there would be some nice higher up ridges or cliffs that you can place your camp overlooking the valley. There might be some maybe more developed areas that we can build in. Maybe not though. It might say you might not be able to place your camp in an existing location, so we'll see. We're gonna have to buy some new camp slots. That's what it's looking like. So we have an unlikely invitation waiting for us. It says, after finding out the true location of Vault 63, you'll work with its leaders to unravel the mystery behind the storm and the Lost. Throughout this questline, you'll discover the mystery behind the Lost, meet new characters, and make gut-wrenching choices about the fate of the residents of Fallout 63. Dangerous Pastimes. This wicked storm raging above Skyline Valley isn't going to keep these thrill seekers away in the new public event. Help a group of settlers and tourists capture the best pictures of the storm by protecting them from nearby lost and electrically charged creatures. They're joy stealers. Make sure they don't crash the party. For neurological warfare, while exploring Skyline Valley, you may get the inclination to nuke the region. These actions are not necessarily encouraged, but they're not discouraged either. Guess we'll just have to find out what happens. I do know earlier today, after the update dropped, a lot of people have been nuking different locations around the map. There might have been a little a little bit of inconsistencies that I might have heard of. So as this update comes out, I guess we'll have to find the sweet spot where to nuke to make things happen, especially if there's random event encounters. So we're going to have some testing to do. We're going to have to nuke a little bit of all over the place, I guess. We have the combat rebalance work, which I think is important, and they're kicking this off with this update. We are beginning a series of combat updates that are aimed to improve your experience. We're starting this process with today's update by making some changes to creatures and weapons. Our goal is for these changes to have positive effects on combat throughout the entire game. I'm someone who mentions I always want to see buffs, not nerfs. I think it's important to buff up, not nerf down, make things all viable as opposed to taking whatever the meta is and then nerfing it into the ground, and it seems like they're attempting to do just that. To help set expectations, we expect these changes to take effect in a variety of different places, weapons, creatures, etc., and across multiple patches, giving you a lot of time to provide feedback on the adjustments being made to ensure we're moving in a positive direction. So that means let the devs know how you're finding the various patches, or at least updates in these patches, to weapons, to creatures, and all that. We'll get into more of that soon. And then with this update, of course, we are kicking off Season 17, the Pioneer Scouts. Last season, Season 16, we kicked off the new seasonal reward pages instead of the scoreboard. And there's a couple of adjustments that we'll get into down the road. I would say keep an eye out for future YouTube content in terms of the seasonal claims. I had recently uploaded my thoughts on last season once you hit 150. I also did a video on claiming whatever I could from rank 1 to 100 without spending any tickets prior to that, except for the boost and other little things here and there. So this season, very excited to see if some of the feedback we've already provided is implemented. I heard something about atoms are returning, but I believe I heard they cost $250. I don't think that's in this set of patch notes, but we'll have to keep an eye out, and I'm going to try to approach the season as efficiently as possible. And then definitely the video that they posted, check it out, get a little preview of all the different awards you can get. I do know some people found last season's rewards were a little lackluster. Well, I would say this season at least seems to be a step in a better direction. More on that later. We're going to be jumping down to fixes and improvements. Feel free to pause the video if I do jump over or skip over any of these, and I will make sure that the patch notes are in the video description so you won't miss out on much. But I do want to highlight a few things, and I'm going to skip over a few of these fixes and improvements, let's say in the art and camp department. We'll jump straight on down to gameplay. I will mention the Union power armor kind of information that I know seems to be on and off the past couple updates, but power armor. Fixing a state players could get in where they can no longer craft Union power armor when they should have been able to. I understand, I think last update kind of messed up Union power armor for people. The one before that it was fine, the one before that I think it was messed up, something like that. But I understand that a few of us have been able to pick up Union power armor from creatures that we didn't actually learn Union power armor, or we shouldn't have been able to pick it up, and then after being able to pick it up we couldn't. So it was very inconsistent, at least for the past so many months, let alone I'm not sure how many updates that was impacting people, but they are addressing that in this update, as they're starting to say. And they go on to mention Union power armor will no longer drop as loot from enemies, but can be rolled from the purveyor if the recipes or entitlement is known by the player. So for example, we've run a few eviction notices recently where there's a bunch of 3-star Union power armor pieces dropping that you can't pick up, even if you had it learned. So there was some issues there again. This is supposed to fix it. And then they're mentioning that with this fix, Union power armor is now craftable for players who have bought it and learned the recipe from Giuseppe, or by players who earn the Union power armor entitlements in Season 10, for those that remember. If you do not have the plan for Union power armor, it can be purchased from Giuseppe, who is upstairs with bubbles at the refuge. Once learned, they will no longer be able to be obtained. Additionally, Union Power Armor pieces will not drop as loot even if you can craft the pieces, but they can be found via random Power Armor purchases from the Purveyor. Players could only see the Union Power Armor pieces that they know how to craft, drop from the Purveyor, and then the pieces they have yet to learn will not drop. So thank you for the clarification on that. And then they also mentioned that it'll have the atomic symbol, the premium symbol, and people cannot trade it. So let's keep an eye on that. I will skip a few of these notes, but we'll kick off with Workshop. They're saying players who had learned to build the Atlantic City poker and blackjack tables but lost access to them should now be able to build them again. I'm pretty sure I was one of those people, because I'm pretty sure I unlocked both of those kind of earlier on, and then when I went to place them I couldn't find them. It wasn't part of whatever theme I was going for in my camp, but I know exactly what they're talking about there, so that's good, that's back. I'll jump down to Moonshine Jamboree. It improved an issue which could block enemy pathing during an event. I personally haven't noticed, but I guess that's good. You don't want random fog crawlers getting stuck in the woods or something. Who knows? Fasnacht got a couple of updates, of course, because we're getting Fasnacht right around the corner. Masks of all tiers will correctly drop upon event completion. Not sure what was happening prior to that. We all ran Fasnacht into the ground for those couple weeks, and it seemed like everything was dropping fine for the most part. Improved spawn rates of honey beasts during that section. If you randomly get that portion of the event to defeat honey beasts, you can go to the honey house and then sometimes not find really any there for a while, wasting time. It seems like they're trying to make that more efficient. Added donation baskets near the event. Share your repeat mask with other players. I like that, because at the end of the day, a lot of players who have participated in a lot of them, and they see some newer players, I'm sure they'll be more than happy to drop them some uncommon masks along with the common ones, and berets that are not masks. In any case, marchers now start walking to the parade start immediately when their task is completed. And we know this was an issue without needing to wait for their dialogue line to be finished. You'd be able to complete multiple things very quickly before they were finished if you had prepped the resources before, collecting steins, collecting wood, honey, or anything like that you can deposit really quickly. Even, I guess, people playing music, if you have that going on, there might have been a chance for you to finish, and maybe the robot would have kept singing. I don't know. So that's good. They're making Fasnacht much more efficient and a lot more streamlined. They're saying they increased the walk speed of the marchers, even better. And then Fasnacht will randomly pick between 5 possible end boss encounters. Very curious to see what that could mean. It's what, just the sloth that we would all kind of beat up at the end and hope for our 1-star loot. Very curious to see what that means. Maybe we'll have like a Grafton monster, a sheep squatch, a death, who knows. Imagine a Myler queen at the end of the street popping out from behind the cars and the trees over there in the house. Who knows? Maybe one day. I'll skip down to the Meat Week mention. It's saying fix an issue which could cause players to get stuck while turning the spit in Meat Week. I remember there was actually a couple of Meat Weeks that happened. I wanted to pop in real quick, go AFK, and then try to run around and help finish the event. With all the drums, the barrels being full, I personally went to the spits to see if I could stand over there, and there was actually a couple times that I got stuck and found buttons unresponsive. So ever since then, I've kind of been like, you know what? Let me just run around and collect stuff and get them meat sweats. But good to know they fixed that. Of these fixes, I'll also mention fixed an issue which could cause fusion cores to appear empty when placed in power armor. So I don't personally use power armor, but I could imagine something like that might have been impacting people. They have fusion cores stashed, they go to use them, and then it says it's empty. They wind up dropping it, finding another one. Potentially wasteful. Alright, on to weapons. So this one's an important one. well, an important category, not necessarily the first one. The first one is saying increase the base damage of the Alien Blaster and Cryolator. For the people that I see using the Cryolator at the Queen or other bosses and trying to, you know, crowd control, that's awesome. Now those people actually able to do a little bit more damage. Alien Blaster I haven't really messed with, so good to know. You're buffing up certain weapons. Fixed an issue with how damage was calculated for the following weapons/mods: the Auto Axe, the Chainsaw, and the Minigun Shredder mod. Very curious to see what this means. I heard the Auto Axe, the Chainsaw were getting some buffs, some nerfs, some rebalances. I didn't know the Minigun Shredder mod was getting changed. It seemed kind of odd that if you had Bash, the Minigun Shredder mod, and the right perks, you could do a lot of damage, but I thought it was just kind of like a fun little side build you could choose if you found the right combination, but they are apparently adjusting that. I imagine they're nerfing it. They're not going to make it be doing more damage. Auto Axe and Chainsaw, I think it was Power Attack, if I remember correctly, that was going to get also adjusted. I don't see a specific mention on that. You guys might need to let me know. And then it's saying increased base damage for the Auto Axe. I personally like the Auto Axe more than the Chainsaw. It's unfortunate that it's not tradable, but for me, I already found my Vampire's Auto Axe that I like, so I'll take notice if it seems to be doing more damage. We'll have to see. Adjustments to the electrified, burning, and poison mods for the following weapons: Auto Axe, Mr. Handy Buzzblade, Chinese Officer Sword, Shepherd's Crook, Sheep Squatch Staff, Sheep Squatch Club, Hatchet, Assaultron Blade, Revolutionary Sword, Baton, and Vault 63 Shock Baton. I do remember at some point, I think it was the Sheep Squatch Staff with Poison mod. I before I even realized it was a thing, it got patched. But I think probably years ago at this point, that weapon with poison would just infinitely keep stacking and then shred through certain targets. I understand that was adjusted, but from what I'm kind of reading here, what I'm picking up, I would say a lot of those damage over time effects weren't working the way they wanted to. And even though it just says adjustments, I wouldn't take this as a nerf. Maybe this is something where it's more consistent. Maybe it hits for less but more often. We're just going to have to wait and see. I personally use my Burning Vampire's Auto Axe that allows me to heal teammates, NPCs during events, so I'm going to have to kind of play around to see exactly what that means. And then the important kind of takeaway too, the dev note: these weapon mods now evenly split their damage between physical and energy/fire/poison. And damage has been adjusted to account for damage being split for the multiple damage types. Hopefully that is more of a buff, and even if it's a nerf, hopefully it's more of a consistent thing where instead of like spike damage out of nowhere from certain damage over time effects. I don't know. We're going to have to see. I'm not too familiar. The cattle prod, oh thank God. The cattle prod has also received a similar change. Its damage has been adjusted and is evenly split between physical and energy damage. These adjustments generally represent an increase in damage dealt. So whoever's over there using the cattle prod at the Scorch Beast Queen or other events, good on you. You'll be able to actually do more damage. We have also improved how we calculate the fall off for weapon damage at range. We expect this to smooth out the fall off damage for weapons that historically lost most of their damage right away. All ranged weapons benefit from this, but it should be most visible with the shotguns and pipe guns, as well as when fighting larger creatures such as Deathclaws. I'm not sure what that means. I guess because it's like you're fighting a larger creature, it seems like you should be able to hit a bigger target, but even though theoretically it's further away, maybe you're not really doing a whole lot of damage until it's right in front of your face. That's kind of my interpretation. Sounds like a buff. And again, this is part one of multiple updates that they plan on approaching this, so we're just gonna have to wait and see what other updates they may have planned for some of these rebalances. And I would encourage people to provide constructive criticism when it comes to that, both in the live aspects on streams and videos you might see, and then you have probably closer to where they might be able to catch some information in their own Discord and other places. Again, the devs do mention they see a lot of our videos, they see a lot of the community feedback, so they are listening. And I imagine for something like this, they really want to see how they can make Appalachia that much more of a smooth kind of battlefield in its own way, as you're jumping from event to event. And again, I hope this is more stick to buffing up, not nerfing down, but it seems like they have that intention. Hopefully. Alright, so we're going to jump on down. Again, feel free to pause the video if there's anything that I'm not going over, or feel free to check out the patch notes yourself. I will jump down to the UI and mention items now display how much they will weigh when being placed in a character stash. This is just like a small little, not even pet peeve, but over time managing my stash weight, which sometimes is 1200 out of 1200, or other times actually isn't too bad, maybe closer to 1000 out of 1200. There's times when you're depositing things and you're looking at it and it says one weight because it's already reduced weight in your inventory, but then you go to place it in your stash and it weighs, you know, more than twice as much. Little thing, I think, is a pretty important fix. We'll jump down to the world. The following creatures have received balance changes: anglers, cave crickets, floaters, gulpers, mutant hounds, and protectrons. Very curious to see what exactly that means. Cave crickets feel very tanky. Anglers sometimes tanky. Gulpers, mutant hounds, protectrons not as much. So I'm not sure if that just means health is rebalanced, maybe offense is also rebalanced, maybe they don't hit you as hard. Not really sure. We're gonna have to wait and see, but definitely something positive. And then lastly, we'll shout out the miscellaneous tab. Green Thumb, Backwoodsman 4, and Verdant Seasons should now work on a broader selection of plants. I'm not sure which plants, but that definitely seems like you'll be able to loot that much more while you're out foraging for some plants and all that. But that is the update, bringing us Season 17, bringing us the map expansion, the quest line, the public events, the regional boss, the new Ghoul Type, and again, the patch notes seemed a little lighter. I'm very curious to see what they might have, you know, held back, want us to find for ourselves, especially nuking. Who knows? There might be some surprises that they placed for us, but I do hope you found this video informative. I'm going to be jumping into Appalachia as soon as I can with the community. I would say keep an eye on the description of the video for the patch notes, links to my Twitch stream, the Xbox gamer tag, and all that goodness. Keep an eye out for more goodies on the page. Subscribe if you're not already, if you're interested in more Fallout content, updates, seasonal pages, and all that. Got a lot of goodies coming up soon. Some events, some Fasnacht, and more to run with the community. I'm definitely looking forward to it. But time for me to jump into Appalachia. You guys have a good one, and I will catch you in the next video. Take it easy, everybody.